Now, thousands of Palestinians fled to southern Gaza in search of refuge after Israel warned them to evacuate before an expected ground offensive against Hamas in retaliation for the deadliest attack in Israel's history. Now, in a statement this morning, IDF has accused the Hamas of hindering evacuation of Palestinians from northern Gaza, even as it faces criticism from the United Nations for its ultimatum. Meanwhile, Israeli ground forces made localized raids into Gaza in the last 24 hours to cleanse the area of terrorists and weaponry and try to find missing persons. Now, Israel also faces a separate confrontation on its northern front with the Lebanon-based Hezbollah group. The Israeli army said its forces were responding with artillery fire towards Lebanese territory after a blast damaged the border barrier. My colleague Kadamni joins us live from Tel Aviv. Kadamni, take us to now the latest. In fact, IDF now saying that the evacuations are being hindered by Hamas groups at checkpoints.
Well, this is coming, these reports are coming, and IDF has been claiming that Hamas is asking people not to move. While the 24-hour deadline is almost coming to an end soon, but there are statements saying that they don't need to move, and Hamas's statements on different social media platforms also say the same thing. But IDF has again come out with a statement saying that all those Palestinians who are civilians, they are not the enemy, and IDF does not want to injure or hurt them in any manner, and that's the reason why they have been asked to move from north of Gaza to south of Gaza, away from the battle lines. Now, before this, there was this statement as well that there have been several raids, several forays into Gaza territory to find out clues about the hostages who are being held. Before, just last night, there was some footage released with children, with Hamas terrorists, and apparently they are using the Israeli children as a human shield. So these are the pictures which are coming from there. As far as northern borders are concerned, let me tell you, it is now confirmed that IDF soldiers identified a terrorist cell and which was attempting to infiltrate from Lebanon into Israeli territory, and UAV targeted the terrorist cell and killed many of the terrorists. This is what the confirmation we are receiving. There is another confirmation from the Air Force here, Israeli Air Force, which says that it had targeted the Gaza Strip overnight. There were several targets which were taken out, and in this there was one terrorist whom they have named and who was responsible for aerial activities of Hamas. That terrorist has been taken out. So now these strikes are continuing. Meanwhile, the search for hostages is also on. We have seen President Biden saying that he has talked to the families of all those Americans who have been taken hostage. So this is also continuing. But of course, there is WHO, and American president also have said that the situation in Palestine is a grave human calamity, and that is also a priority. Meanwhile, American Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on a spree of meeting all the Arab leaders here. When he came here first, he came to Israel, then he went to Jordan. He also has met Qatar leadership. He is meeting Saudi Arabian leadership today. The effort is not to let the conflict widen, but there is one thing which seems imminent, that the ground assault will take place sooner or later, and all the preparations for this has been clearly made. Fortifications on southern borders have been done. North has been also fortified. So this is the situation at present at Gaza Israel borders and northern borders, and the army and the air force and the defense forces here are all prepared to go all out on their assault.
Right, Kadamni, like you stated, in terms of the humanitarian cost of this, Biden in fact has said that the common people in Gaza have nothing to do with the Hamas. But Putin, on the other hand, has come and said that the only possible way to get out of this crisis is negotiation and this two-state solution that the UN has put forward. Is there a possibility of a negotiation? You in fact also mentioned the inevitable ground offensive.
Well, at present, it does not look very feasible, because after what happened on Saturday, the kind of attack which took place on Saturday when Hamas terrorists came in and they attacked civilians, Israeli civilians on the borders, it looks very difficult that there would be any negotiation on that front anymore. Moreover, the hostages have not been released. There are no indications that they are being released. Initially, it was being said that it might be possible to negotiate a return of Palestinian citizens or Palestinian Hamas terrorists who are here in jail, in Israel in jail, but at the moment no negotiation seems to be taking off. That is the reason there have been raids by Israeli forces inside Gaza, but no one has been, it doesn't look like they have been very successful in getting the hostages back. So as far as that is concerned, it's difficult. On the other hand, whether there would be a two-state solution or anything else, this is something which would happen in future, and we know very well what the history of it is. At the moment, the concentration is all about wiping out Hamas, as IDF has been saying again and again, as Israeli leadership has been saying again and again. So this is the priority at the moment, to get the hostages back and to wipe out Hamas, so that there is no other attack like this which takes place again here in Israel.
Right, Kadamni, before we let you go, final question. In fact, earlier there were breathless attacks from the side of Israel right after what happened on Saturday. But post that, there's also been counter strikes. So what is the situation in Israel?
Well, there are counter attacks as well. As I said, that in spite of all the strikes which are taking place, aerial strikes which are taking place, the gunfire which you heard yesterday from the borders of this side, the artillery which you heard, but there are also continuous barrage of rockets being fired from Gaza, especially on the southern towns of Israel, be it Ashdod or Ashkelon. So this is happening continuously. Even yesterday in Tel Aviv, last night, there was twice siren for rocket attacks. So this is continuing, and IDF also has in its statement said that these attacks are continuing. There are also some reports of Hamas terrorists being seen in these southern towns, one or two of them being seen there. There was a gunfight in Jerusalem just day before yesterday. How that happened is still a big question, because the security is very high. So these are the sporadic incidents which are happening, but of course the bigger factors are that there is a rocket barrage, and there is fighting from Hezbollah side. So there are two fronts which are continuously open here.
Right, Kadamni, thank you for joining us and bringing us those details from the ground. Continue tracking these developments for us. We'll come back to you when there's more. For now, we shift our focus after Israel's 24-hour ultimatum to Gazans, asking them to evacuate from North Gaza. The Israeli Defense Force claims that the Hamas militant group is hindering the evacuation of Palestinians. Now, the IDF said that the measures are being taken to avoid human impact during imminent combat operations. Listen in to what the IDF personnel had to say.
We have seen a significant movement of Palestinian civilians towards the south, and that's all over the news. We have seen people listening to our warning, understanding that they are doing the clever thing, moving out of a dangerous area, and that they are doing the right thing for their family and their own safety. Extremely sad and worrying to see is the fact that Hamas actively undermines and has tried to stop Palestinian civilians from evacuating that area, both via messages and also checkpoints and stops on the ground.